Starting us off at number 10 is Asmodeus, better known as the King of Demons, one of the 7 princes of hell, or better yet, the King of the 9 hells. And here I was thinking there was only one hell. I'm mistaken clearly. According to Binsfeld's classification of demons, Asmodeus is the demon that symbolizes lust, which makes sense since he specializes in just that. Spreading lust. He apparently has 3 heads, one that looks like a man, one that looks like a sheep, and one that looks like a bull, and apparently the man head is the most evil. He also rides this horrific creature that looks like a lion, but it has a neck and wings of a dragon. If spreading lust wasn't enough, he also specializes in enacting revenge. He appears the most in the Book of Tobit, written in 400 AD, where he tortures Sarah, who is Regel's daughter. Regel just means friend of God. He kills 7 of Sarah's husbands all on their wedding night in order to stop them from consummating the marriage. He kills 7 of Sarah's husbands all on their wedding night in order to stop them from consummating the marriage. It's said that people who listen to him will spend an eternity in the 2nd level of hell. Now, I've given you all the info, whether you want to summon him or not, that's up to you. I'd probably say don't.
Number 9, Nishidak. Ever think you heard someone calling your name, but no one is there? Well, if you do, make sure you wait until at least the 3rd time before you go looking. A Nishidak is a dark entity that lures travelers deep into the forest areas by making it sound like a loved one is calling to you. If curiosity gets the better of you, it will lead you to a deserted area away from help and reveal itself in a terrifying form. After that, you're done for. The Nishidak will devour you and you will have no chance of escape. But remember how I said to wait for the 3rd call? That's because it can only call out your name twice. So if the voices end after the 2nd call, then keep walking, as it's sure to be the Nishidak. Number 8, Nail Ba. I'm sure I'm not the only one who would be creeped out to hear a knock on my door far too late in the evening. A knock on my door in general is weird. Use the doorbell, or just, call first. Everybody texts to say you're here. When friends come over, they're like, I'm here, they never knock. It's weird to hear a knock in the first place. Anyways, if not for anything else but the Nail Ba. Her name was written on the doors and walls of small towns and villages in Bangalore to deter the spirit from entering. She is believed to be a dark demonic demon or spirit who walks the streets visiting people's houses. Some variations of the myth say that she is the spirit of a wandering bride seeking her husband. If you open the door to receive her, she will take the man of the house and bring bad luck to the household. Apparently she speaks in the voices of your friends and family in order to appear more trustworthy. Villagers write her name on the door to ward her off. Number 7, Boba. We've touched on sleep paralysis and the lore that surrounds it a bit on this channel, but for those who are unfamiliar, sleep paralysis is a common occurrence during what are called night terrors. Different from nightmares, which you can kind of shake yourself out of. Sleep paralysis is a state where your body remains entirely asleep but your mind is awake, so you're literally frozen where your eyes are just looking around. Imagine your dreams or your nightmares standing in your bedroom. Many people report seeing odd shadowy shapes and feeling a pressure on their chest, which could be the result of the Boba. The Boba is a dark shadowy entity that preys on those who sleep on their back. It strangles its victims to death while asleep and is said to be a paranormal explanation for sleep paralysis. Number 6, Bach. Do you have a fear of dark water or not being able to see the bottom of the water? I get that. It gets dark down there and anything could be lurking beneath us as we swim, even the Bach. The Bach is a grotesque creature who lurks near ponds and lakes and would do anything for a good meal of fish. The Bach is a common belief in the state of Assam, where fishermen rarely fish at night without garlic or chilies on them, because that's the only way to ward them off. Otherwise, the Bach will come from the water and disguise itself as a good friend. It'll be like, hey, what are you doing here? Let's walk. It will walk with you for a bit and then strike. Not only will it steal the catch of the day, it will either bury you in the ground or drag you beneath the depths of the water. Ooh. Terrifying, actually. That sounds awful. I hate that. I actually kind of always have that like weird imaginary moment when I'm walking by the ocean, but you didn't need to know that. Number 5, Vitalis. Vitalis are kind of like vampire-esque creature, except some gross extensions on their choice of cuisine. I always find this interesting that there are patterns around the world that kind of explain something. It's just interesting to me. They are dark creatures that live in cremation grounds and seek corpses to latch onto. They can leave vessels as they please, but while occupied, they must use their magic to fuel their host with blood. Legend says that a Vitala is created every time a child dies and isn't given the proper burial rites. Once the Vitala finds a body, it slithers inside, twisting the face in a way that makes the eyes turn into slits, and some say they resemble fruit bats. When the Vitala sucks blood from a living human, it allows the Vitala to live forever, but that doesn't mean it's done gorging itself. Number 4. Hiranyakushipo. Now let's talk about the king of demons, a proud, egotistical king who would stop at nothing until all kingdoms worshipped him. He wanted all to believe that he was the creator of the universe and that no one could control him, but even his own son refused to worship him. You could imagine that wasn't a very good look for an almighty ruler, so of course he tried to have his son killed. Every time he tried, he failed. Even when he asked his own sister to burn his son alive, he emerged unharmed. Vishnu protected him, and because the prideful god could not be killed by human, diva, or animal, Vishnu created a blend of creatures, creating something entirely different. It was called the Narasimha, and one day at twilight, he laid on the demon's lap and disemboweled him with his claws. Bye bye, king of demons. Enjoy storming the castle. Number 3. The Raktabisha. Raktabisha wasn't just one demon, but had the potential to be thousands all at once. If one drop of his blood hit the ground, another Raktabisha would form, and worse than that, the creature would actually get more powerful when a new version of himself formed. As you can imagine, he was pretty hard to defeat. So the gods combined all of their power and created Kali, the destroyer of demons, a grotesque looking goddess decorated with bloody limbs. During their battle, of course, his blood poured onto the ground from his wounds, creating thousands of demons. But instead of letting the blood drop to the floor, Kali Mata pierced him and drank the blood flowing from her tongue. She drank every single drop until another army could no longer emerge. Number 2. Putana. Putana was an evil demon who was apt to taking the lives of the young wherever she could. When the god Krishna was just a baby, he was put on earth to help rid the world of demons. Upon hearing this, Putana disguised herself as a beautiful young woman, and nobody thought twice when letting her into the room. She laced her chest with poison so when she fed the babe, he would die, but the opposite happened. Krishna sucked the life force from her and she died in agony. Despite her intentions, Putana is also considered as a kind of foster mother to Krishna because she offered him milk. I don't know. Even though it was poisoned, she is also personified as an infantile disease or a bird symbolizing danger or warning of bad mothers. Number 1. Narakasura. Narakasura essentially belongs on every top 10 list we've ever done about evil killers. He was a demon king in Hindu mythology and ruled over Praxapuram, a cruel and ruthless killer his people wished they could be free of him. One of the worst things he did was kidnap and torment 1,600 women just because he felt like it. He would also extend his bloodlust towards any who angered him or simply crossed his path. As a result of his cruelty, his people approached the god Krishna and begged him to intervene.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have Ed. When Tammy was a kid, her and her sister would often use Ouija boards, and it always seemed that they would end up communicating with the same spirit who was named Ed. Ed apparently wasn't super nice because he would continually threaten their younger brother during this time, and he was never with them during the times that they were using the board, so it was definitely weird. Eventually they got creeped out enough that they got rid of the board and just put Ed behind them. A few years later, when their little brother got older, he had used a Ouija board with his friend a couple of times, and he came home to tell his older sisters a story that had him freaked out. He explained that every time him and his friend used the board, there kept being a spirit named Ed who was threatening him. Apparently their mother ended up banning the use of Ouija boards in their house, which really is the right move.
Coming in at number 9 is Vine. No, not the 7-second video app that we all miss and spent way too much time on. In Christian demonology, Vine is, and I quote, known to be the trickiest, deadliest demon. He's a king of hell and he's also an earl. Fancy demon. Title demon. Vine is described as taking the form of a lion, riding a black horse, and holding a viper in his hand. So really, he could just kill you with any one of those animals if summoned and pissed off. And those three aside, he also governs over 36 legions of spirits. He's known to have the power to take a person's soul without permission, look into the past and present, and he can also create storms and make the oceans rough. He can discover hidden things and witches and bring down any structure he wants. People summon him to reveal their hidden downfalls and enemies, as well as help them build their lifetime goals. But with hard work, you can achieve that without summoning vines, so just don't. At number 8 we have Belial. Now in the Hebrew Bible, Belial is basically talked about and described as the devil himself. Hello, alarm bells should be ringing right about now, red flags should be waving. His name translates to wicked or worthless, and the Dead Sea Scrolls title him the leader of the sons of darkness, the king of evil, the lord of lies, the prince of darkness, and the master of deceit. They say following Belial will make man cause bloodshed and other atrocities. According to the Satanic Bible, Belial is titled without a master, and so worshippers might look to summon him because he brings about independence and freedom. But I assure you, you can attain freedom and independence from other sources. You don't have to do this. His name is King of Evil, for God's sake. Filling our number 7 slot is Lilith, the first female demon on this list, and her name translates to night monster, because there aren't enough of those already. She can be found in the Bible, in Judaism, Roman and Mesopotamian mythology, but she's not found in the Quran. In some literature, she's depicted as the mother of Adam's demonic offspring after Eve. After refusing to be submissive to Adam, she left him in the Garden of Eden. In other literature, she leaves Adam before they have kids, and her demonic offspring are actually sired to the archangel Samal. The Dead Sea Scrolls warns against associating with Lilith. It says she loves frightening spirits of the destroying angels, demons, and spirits of bastards. Whatever that means, it sounds terrifying. She leads men astray in order to humiliate them. As the night monster, she embodies sensuality, terror, and unbridled freedom. She targets children and women in childbirth, and it's said that when a child is born, she has dominion over them for 8 days, and after that she has none. Hence, people use her to explain the death of a lot of infants. Lilith just sounds very mischievous, and if summoned, I just wouldn't trust her at all. I mean, she would probably lead me astray as well. So that's a hard no for me. Now at number 6 is Andras. With every link I open to learn more about this demon, the first word describing him on every single one of those web pages was violent. He's known to be an all-round shit stirrer, to put it frankly. Andras is known to be able to slaughter entire households, and he's sent out specifically to kill. His very purpose is to create discord among humans, and once he's in your mind, he whispers thoughts of killing people and violence and escalates people's existing problems. He's also known to be easily provoked, so if you do summon him, try not to get on his bad side, otherwise it's highly likely he'll kill you and everyone in a 10-kilometer radius of you and have no remorse about doing it. And in case you were wondering what this demon looks like, he has the body of an angel, how ironic, the head of an owl, he rides a black wolf, and carries a saber for, I'm assuming, slaying purposes. Coming in at number 5 is Verpula or Nefula. Now off the bat, this demon seems pretty harmless. He's known for teaching sciences, philosophy, and mechanics, and I'm assuming this is also behind the motive of why people summon him to begin with. His purpose is to make men know about all these different fields, but he's not just a nice professor-esque demon. Far from it, actually. He governs 36 legions of spirits and demons and is the great Duke of Hell. He takes the form of a lion with the wings of a griffin, and because he's so smart, it makes him extremely crafty and deceptive. The people who get possessed by him start becoming smarter, but also more and more paranoid and distrustful of other people. Aside from knowledge, he specializes in deception. So it makes it very easy for him to manipulate virtually anyone. So if you do ignore me and decide to summon him, then be very wary and don't say I didn't warn you. At number 4 is Barith or Barith. According to the Infernal Dictionary, Barith commands 26 legions of demons and has the title of the Duke of Hell. If you are trying to summon him, then you have to wear a silver ring with his specific seal and have it close to your face as a sign of respect. If Barith finds you're not paying the respect he's due, well then instant death is what awaits you. Aleister Crowley says that Barith is probably the smoothest talker you will ever meet, as well as the biggest liar. That's a killer combination. Just know it's guaranteed that if he's not answering a question, he is 100% lying. As a powerful demon, most people summon him for that reason, not realizing his main aim is to corrupt people who are seeking power. He can also show you the past, the present, or the future. A lot of alchemists actually believe he has the power to transmute base metals into gold, so a lot of people also summon him in search of fortune. Let me just leave you with the adjectives he's described with on every website I went on. Terrible, powerful, liar, hellish. Need I say more? Filling in on number 3 slot is Lamash. In Mesopotamian mythology, she used to be a menace to women who were giving birth and would actually kidnap their babies while they were being breastfed. After stealing those babies, she chews their bones and then drinks their blood. Definitely a demon not to be messed with. She's also been known for contaminating water, killing crops, and she enjoys wreaking havoc whenever she gets the chance. It's said that if you have the unfortunate luck of being possessed by her, then you'll suffer from grave nightmares, horrible sleep disturbances, and possibly a critical illness. So far, I'm hearing all cons for summoning her and not a single pro, people. But if you do summon Lamash, then you'll have in front of you a hairy creature with the head of a lioness, bird feet with talons, and donkey teeth and ears. Have fun with that. Now number 2 is Belzebub, which sounds like the name of a would-be cute round looking Pokemon, but it's far from that. Originally the Philistines worshipped him as a god, but later on he became a major demon in Abrahamic religions. He's known as one of the 7 princes of hell, as the Lord of the Flies or the Lord of the Flyers, and the Prince of Devils. He's also very high up in hell's hierarchy, and he's second just below Satan himself. In Christian demonology, it's said he led a revolt against the devil. He's Lucifer's chief lieutenant as well as the emperor of hell. At this point, I feel like every demon on this list is either a prince of hell or a king of hell. Binsfeld's classification of demons associates gluttony with Belzebub. Binsfeld's classification of demons associates gluttony with Beelzebub. He's usually held responsible for most cases of demonic possessions, and his best work was apparently during the Salem witch trials. He possesses people to do absolutely horrific acts, and he's known for spreading belief about false gods, mainly himself. Aesthetically, he's a small withered creature with a long tail, a forked tongue, ram horns, and either purple or red skin. Do you really need this demon in your life? No, you don't. And finally, at number 1 is Samal. In Hebrew, Samal translates to blindness of God, venom of God, or poison of God. It doesn't matter which one you choose to go with, since they all scream toxic as hell. In Judaism, he's the angel of death and one of the 7 archangels, and is described by Satan as the destroyer, the accuser, and the seducer. Samal is not a fallen angel like Lucifer. No, his duties were dark from the very beginning. He condones it when humans sin, he likes it actually, and he further tempts them to do it. People describe him as being good and bad because God created him to execute his will at any cost whatsoever. So with that primal responsibility comes a lot of consequences. Looking wise, he's even worse. Samal has glaring eyes from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. He has 12 wings and is so tall it takes 500 years apparently to cover any distance that's equal to his height. He's said to be the ruler of the 5th heaven and commands 2 million angels. When describing his nature and his aim, someone said he aimed to be the new god, but was evil, treacherous, and spiteful. I saw a thread on Reddit discussing how he makes Lucifer look good. Lucifer.
Number 10, Monoqua. The Monoqua is a terrifying creature with sharp edges who violently scratches off the faces of his victims and leaves them for dead. What it precisely looks like varies, but a common depiction describes it as like a hairy spider with soulless eyes. Spiders already have soulless eyes. Anyways. Though it sounds like the stuff of legend, in the early 2000s, the town of Kanpur, India blamed several attacks on the creature. Several people reported attacks at night and awoke with strange abrasions on their faces. But the strangest part is that they didn't remember anything before or after the attack. The Monoqua is known for attacking only at night, and strange blackouts also occurred in the town. Police as well as civilians became so convinced that the Monoqua was attacking their community that they led special searches at night. And then, all at once, the attacks stopped, though other parts of the country have had similar unexplained attacks. So is it real? Probably, I don't know.
In our number 9 spot today we have the book. Okay, so what if I told you that someone out there really thought it was a good idea to write a book that is for children, but it tells them how to summon demons? I mean, listen, for years there's been urban legends like Bloody Mary and Charlie Charlie, which of course tell us instructions on how to summon those respective demons, but urban legends are part of being a child. It's spooky stories to share amongst friends, but this book really takes things to an entirely new level. Many who are more well versed in the worlds of witchcraft and the paranormal have explained that this book, written by Aaron Layton, is basically a grimoire. It contains 72 different demons that can be conjured by those who read it for their own personal gain, which is basically the definition of black magic. The book not only includes these sort of cute drawings of creepy demons, but it also includes the symbols for each demon, which some have warned is also a very bad sign. In our number 9 spot today we have The Room. This story comes from an anonymous source, but we'll call them Alex. Alex and their fiance, who we'll call Sam, were given a Ouija board that their friend had apparently found on the side of the road, which I feel like is the worst place to find a new Ouija board. Alex and Sam decided to use it one night and began to ask questions. They asked who was with them and if they were an angel, demon, or spirit. It replied that their name was Mo and that they were a demon by your creation. Alex and Sam were obviously freaked out and just asked a few more simple questions, like, what is your favorite poster of ours on the wall? Mo replied with bloody mess. Alex and Sam had a kiss photo with Gene Simmons on it that had blood everywhere on it. Alex pointed to that poster and asked, this one? Mo said yes. Alex and Sam had a few skeleton heads that sat on their TV, so they asked Mo to move the skeleton heads so that they could have proof Mo was real. Mo said to close their eyes, so they did. A few seconds later, all of the skulls on the TV had moved to be facing them. Only Sam and Alex were in the room at the time, and they had been sitting right next to each other, which would have made it impossible for one of them to be pranking the other. In our number 7 spot today we have Nicola Paganini. Nicola was a professional violinist who was born in 1782. His parents began to send him to lessons when he was just 5 years old, and by age 15 he was already touring the world because he was so talented. What's interesting about Nicola and his story, other than his obvious musical genius however, is the rumors surrounding his talent and subsequent recognition. According to some, people believe that his own mother summoned the devil in order for her son to be the extreme talent that he is. There are many modern diagnoses that could potentially explain some of what made Nicola so talented, and I mean, we all know quite well that sometimes people are just born with extreme talent, but of course in the early 1800s people in their imagination certainly ran wild. The final reason why people believe he may have made a deal with the devil is because shortly before his death he was quite sick. The doctors had a feeling he was nearing death, so they sent in a priest to pray over him. When he first saw the priest, it is said that he freaked out and sent the priest away. Many people believe that him pushing the priest away was only a confirmation of the fact that he was working with the devil. In our number 6 spot today we have the Lady Ghost Demon. This story comes from the Reddit user 7-Leg Spider, and they really just dive in. Basically, for several years, Spider saw what they thought was just a lady ghost every night at the door of the closet. It happened for so long that Spider just got used to it and even started saying goodnight to her. Spider says she didn't look bad or rotten, she was just a lady with pale skin and dark hair. Anyway, after a few years of this, Spider finally tells a friend at school about the lady. He of course didn't believe the story right away, but the next day at school he tells Spider that this lady tried to hurt him while he was sleeping. Now Spider didn't believe the friend and thought he was just playing a prank. Some more time goes by and Spider decides to tell another friend about the lady, and the same thing happens where the next time she comes and tells Spider that the lady had tried to hurt her while she was sleeping. The first friend and the second friend didn't know each other, so it's not like they could have been conspiring, which made Spider believe his first friend was telling the truth. Then, a while after that, Spider is on a video chat with a friend and they're talking about the paranormal when they both see something run across the screen. They chalk it up to being a glitch and Spider starts telling this friend about the lady, and then Spider begins to get extremely dizzy like they're about to pass out. After it goes away, Spider tells their friend that they're okay, and the friend replies that they were out of it for at least a full minute and that he could feel that someone was there trying to hurt Spider. In the end, I'm just really glad that Spider and all of the friends ended up being okay, and I really hope they found a way to get rid of that demon lady. In our number 5 spot today we have the meditation. This story comes from someone online who starts off by explaining that they accidentally summoned a demon once and it was a huge mistake. They say that it all started when they were meditating with some stones that a friend had given them. They say that the stones were polished and given to them in a medicine bag. When they went to meditate, they were holding 4 in each hand, just letting their mind wander encounter when they felt something or someone slam into their back. After this, they heard demonic laughter and a bunch of banging upstairs when there shouldn't have been anyone up there. They immediately blew out their candle and left the house. When they returned to the house later, they explained that this is when they started to see shadow crawlers all over the walls. The strange occurrences continued as they would hear the sound of children laughing in their home despite no children being there, and things would suddenly disappear only to be found later in places that had already been checked. They finished this story by saying that they ended up fleeing the house one night and burning it down, never to look back. I'm gonna be honest, not sure about the whole burning the house down thing. Seems maybe a little illegal, but I guess all is fair in the world of demonology. In our number 4 spot today we have Zozo. This story comes from the Reddit user Archaic Alchemy, who we'll call A. When A was 22, they were staying with their sister, and one night they had a couple good friends over to hang out and play around with a Ouija board, which is always the start of a good demon story. A had read about people encountering an entity called Zozo, and A really just wanted some proof that things exist beyond our physical realm, so they really wanted to use the Ouija board. Everyone places their hand on the planchette and A calls out to Zozo. It took a few attempts before anything happened, but then the planchette began to move in figure eights. No matter what was asked, it just kept moving in this pattern until it finally spelled out M-A-M-A. A kept asking who they were talking to, and eventually they spelled out Zozo, and then things really escalated. The planchette was taken to the letters to spell out kill you, and when A asked who, they spelled out one of the friends' names. They didn't take it seriously and kept asking more questions, and one friend made the mistake of insulting Zozo. The planchette begins frantically moving through the alphabet backwards over and over before it stops. Then the energy in the room completely drops, and A knows that this means that Zozo has manifested itself. Suddenly A begins to laugh maniacally with no control over it. A could feel Zozo's presence inside and could feel Zozo turning all of this hatred and anger towards the friend that had been named before. A's emotions suddenly completely switched and they began crying uncontrollably before again suddenly snapping back to anger. A's head turns involuntarily to look at the friend with a menacing grin as A pushes the planchette towards this friend. The friends decide it's rightfully time to leave, and shortly after they left, A felt like they regained control again and Zozo's presence had disappeared. I'm very glad that nothing even crazier happened and that Zozo wasn't able to end up harming this friend in the end. In our number 3 spot today we have Giuseppe Tartini. Okay, so this story is one that is kind of similar to Nicolo's, but even more strange. Giuseppe was an Italian violinist and composer who lived during the 1700s. He went on to compose a song called The Devil's Trill Sonata, and not only this, but he also claimed to wake up one night to find Satan sitting on the edge of his bed playing the violin. Seems as though the devil really likes violins, apparently. What's extremely curious is that after this alleged encounter, it is said that Giuseppe's violin skills hit heights never seen before. He was able to suddenly play extremely complicated trills that are impossible for most musicians. Apparently even today the sonata is too difficult for many musicians to play, which is why people believe that perhaps this story really was true. In our number 2 spot today we have the Grey Skin Demon. This story comes from Pink Magic 724 on Reddit, and it is about a night that they had a few years ago while still in college. Pink Magic's best friend of many years was in town, so they went out for a dinner to catch up and spend some time together. They of course ended up getting a bit caught up, as best friends do, and before they know it, it's around 2 AM and definitely time for them to head home. Pink Magic's friend was the one who drove, so they headed off to Pink Magic's house. They're at an intersection waiting for the light to turn green when Pink Magic turns their head and looks out the window into the car next to them. This is when she sees the person next to them is looking directly back at them, but this person has gray skin, completely black eyes with no white, and they're smiling but their teeth are long and sharp. Whoever or whatever this thing is will not break eye contact. Pink Magic tries to scream, but no sound will come out. I've had that nightmare before, and eventually the friend sees this creature too and immediately speeds out of there. To this day, neither of them like to talk about it, and neither of them are quite sure what exactly they witnessed. In our number 1 spot today we have Johann George Faust. According to the stories passed down about this man, it is said that he was an alchemist and astrologer who lived in Germany during the 1500s. It is said that in his plight to become the smartest man in the world while also enjoying as many earthly pleasures as possible, he summoned the help of a demon named Mephistopheles. I thought that was just one of the cats from Cats, but apparently not. Anyways, there are terrible stories about how cruel and truly evil this man was, and as a professor, it is said he looked down on everyone else because he thought he was smarter than them. Local priests apparently believed that he had actually made a deal with the devil, and that his pet dog was actually a demon who was able to shapeshift. What's most interesting about this is that during his life, he did publish several grimoires, and in 1540, while conducting some sort of alchemaic experiment, his laboratory exploded.